everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you my first impressions of the series, The Wine Lover's Mysteries. This is the first book, which is Murder Uncorked. It is by Michele Scott. This was Book One Cozy's Club fourth quarter pick for 2019. This one follows a woman named Nikki Sands. She is a out-of-work actress who is now making her living as a waitress while she's trying to get some jobs, acting jobs. She has become pretty knowledgeable about wines and makes an impression on one of her guests, who happens to be a winery owner. After having a really tough night at her waitressing job, she actually gets the opportunity of a lifetime when this winery owner that she had waited on earlier in the evening offers her the opportunity to come out to his winery and consider taking a job with his company. She decides to go ahead and follow him to his winery because she's really got nothing to lose, and she does enjoy learning about wines and the winemaking process. And so she heads on out to his winery, and as she is getting settled into her little cottage, she hears a noise outside and stumbles across a dead body. Now, I'm not a big connoisseur of wines, nor do I partake of it at all, but I didn't think that that would be an inhibitor going into something like this. I did find that I learned quite a bit about growing the grapes and the types of soil and things like that. Not as much as what I had anticipated about hearing a lot of talk about pairing the wines with certain foods. Now, sure, there is some discussion about that, but for me, it wasn't as much of a kind of a learning thing as something that was said in passing. Actually, before Nikki gets her job offer, she kind of goes through like an interview process where the owner of the winery, his name is Derek, kind of takes her out to dinner and has her pair wines with the food so that he can like test her expertise. And that whole process was fascinating. There's even a little bit in there where she catches something about one of the wines that they were served that I had no idea about, again, because I don't partake of wine and I'm not knowledgeable about it at all. So that was really interesting to me. The investigation was kind of slow for what I'm used to, and I think part of that is why it took me so long to get through this one. This is a relatively short book, and I actually have a book to show you this time, but this one is 219 pages, and it took me over a month to finish it, which is unusual for me. I did find that as I was reading, I would get really engrossed in the story, and then once I got past that point where like things were happening and I really wanted to know what was going to happen, what was going on, I was able to put the book down for like weeks or even days, quite a long period of time in between reads, which I kind of find a little disappointing. I don't think it was because I don't know much about wine or it's not a topic that I am very interested in, because that's not really part of the investigation. Like, I read these mysteries for the investigation, and it just seems so passive. There are also several things about the way Nikki went about investigating that bothered me, She ends up lying to Derek about what she was doing a few times, and I don't feel like that was really necessary because at one point he does ask her to look into something for him, and she was doing what he asked, but she still felt the need to lie to him about why she was doing what she was doing. And so that bothered me quite a bit. On top of that, there seems to be a budding romance between Nikki and Derek, which I did find very sweet. But if she's going to be lying to him about stuff like this, especially when it's something that he asked her specifically to look into, I don't like that kind of thing when we're starting to see relationships blossom. I don't like that kind of thing when relationships are in effect. I just didn't like that part of her character at all. A lot of the extra storylines that were thrown in, I don't feel like were necessary for us to know for this particular volume. Now, because this is a first volume in the series, maybe it's setting up stuff for future volumes, but I kind of felt like it was thrown in just to kind of throw you off, but kind of be a filler. I mean, like I said, this book is only 219 pages, and I do feel like if they had left that out, this would have been like a novella-sized story. In the end, quite a bit of the extra storylines that were thrown in didn't really have anything to do with the end result. Also, a couple of the conclusions that Nikki came to in regards to her suspects didn't make sense at all. I feel like she made hasty conclusions, like didn't think things through, and her thought process really confused me. But in the end, the story about why the person was murdered and the conclusion of the story made a lot of sense to me. I will probably end up reading the next one in this series just because I did find that the relationship, like I said, was really cute, and I'd like to see where that goes. I'd also like to see where Nikki's journey takes her in regards to this new opportunity in her life. And if the little side comments about her previous acting career are going to follow her through. It seems like it shouldn't, and I kind of feel like that's a part of her past now, that she's not really going to be pursuing a career in acting any longer, and that being an employee of the winery is going to be more of her kind of new career path. I do think I will give this one another volume before I decide whether or not to continue this series or not. I don't feel like I was given enough in this story, and again, it's because the book was so short, and I feel like the main plot point was not as much of this book as it should have been. I would be interested to hear if any of you have read this one and what you think of it, or if you've even continued the series and what you think about it past this first book. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you're all doing great, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.